Hey everyone, it's Gyoza, and today I want to talk about Xuan and if she's really as necessary as people say she is. I want to say first and foremost, this isn't a hate video about Xuan. I honestly think Xuan, one of the best characters in the game, without a doubt. She's great, and if you get her, your account would be better for it. However, I've been seeing videos calling her a must pull, and like, you need her on your account. She'll change everything, and how even if you have two limited sustains, you should pull for her. And I want to talk about those things. So first, let's go over her kit, right? So Xuan, her basic is just regular basic. It scales off of max HP instead of attack, which is really helpful for Xuan. Helps her add a little bit more damage, but it's just a basic attack. Her skill activates Matrix of Prescience, and other teammates. The damage your teammates take, she will actually redirect the damage they take, and she'll take it, right? So she's a sustain in that regard. She pretty much takes damage so other people don't have to. She also increases people's HP and crit rate. And before we go any farther, I want to say this crit rate buff isn't as good as people say it is. Some people say it's really good and helps them so much, but hopefully your characters already have a good crit rate and you're not relying on Xuan's skill providing 12% crit rate. It's not useless, but let's say you're using her on a mono quantum team, so you build everyone and everyone only has like 60 crit rate, but it's fine because Xuan gives them extra crit rate. But then you want to slot Xuan on another team, or that quantum team is going to be a lot weaker because they're built around the crit rate from Xuan, so you never want to rely on it. Hopefully your characters will have good crit value already and not rely on Xuan's crit buff. And it's just a buff that's kind of unnecessary as well, because a character like Adventuring, in this video isn't comparing Adventuring to Xuan, but a character like Adventuring makes the enemy take more crit damage, which just is a better way to provide to your team than increasing their crit rate, because you're just straight up increasing everyone's damage, which is way more important than increasing everyone's crit rate. In a way, that could increase their damage, but again, hopefully you have enough crit rate where you're not relying on Xuan's crit rate. Before we look at her ultimate, I want to look at her talent, and her talent pretty much makes everyone take a 18% less damage, and when Xuan's HP goes below 50%, she will heal 90% of the HP she's missing, which is really helpful. Pretty much she's taking a bunch of damage, but she heals herself up, so she can't really die unless she takes a giant blow, which doesn't happen as much as some people say, but it can still happen, and then she just kind of dies. And you get 2 stacks of this. Well, it can stack up to twice, like this thing that lets her heal, and to regain a stack you have to use your ultimate, and her ultimate isn't anything, it's just damage, which is cool. It's cool. It's not like worthless, but all it is extra damage. All her technique does is give everyone Matrix of Prescience at the start, so kind of helps her. Yeah, so as you can see, she's pretty skill point positive, and I want to look at her traces real quick as well, because the big one, in my opinion, is this one right here. It says when your ultimate is used, it heals everyone by 5% of Xuan's HP plus 133. It's not a lot. It's not that much healing, but that helps everyone stay alive longer. Eventually, your characters will still die, but if you're in fights where it's taking so long to the point where people die even when Xuan's still alive, then, I mean, maybe you should just try to make your DPSs better. Normally, some people say this is a critique for Xuan, where you'll lose eventually. Like, you can't keep people alive forever, which is true, but hopefully you never get to that point. I don't see how anyone would even get to that point, honestly. Unless their characters are super under-leveled and stuff, of course. I'm just saying, like, we're thinking about, like, kind of people who are, like, doing MOC and that kind of stuff. Her other Ascension trace right here, this is really good. It's one of the things that I think makes her really stand out, is pretty much characters can resist debuffs when Matrix of Prescience is there. Again, it can only happen once, but it is very, very helpful, because there's situations where characters like Locha, yeah, they have an auto heal that cleanses, but why would you cleanse when you could just prevent the debuff from happening in the first place? That's like a big difference between preservation and abundance characters. Yeah, so Xuan's very strong because she can just stop debuffs from happening in the first place. Adventuring kind of has it, but all he does is give people 50 effect res, which is great, but it's kind of a coin toss whether they still get debuffed or not. So Xuan kind of just straight up says, no, you're not debuffing my team, which is very helpful. Yeah, the rest of her traits are good. Obviously, HP effect res are, like, pretty alright, but then she has crit rate. I don't really know why. I guess some people build DPS Xuan, but it's kind of random. I'm not gonna really look at her Eidolons. They're just, you know, Eidolons. I think Eidolons are very friendly for everyone, because I think people should invest in in a few characters a lot rather than spread their accounts so thin with, like, so many different characters. But but they're just pretty alright. Her first one makes her crit damage, or makes everyone's crit damage go up, and her second one pretty much gives her Bailu revive, which is just very helpful. So yeah, she seems pretty good. So why isn't she a must pull in my opinion? Now, this is a very hot take, but I don't think you need 5-star sustains. I'm gonna hop over to Pride Win real quick. Here you can see Aventurine Fuxuan best sustains in the game, which is pretty, a lot of people would agree. I personally think Aventurine and Ohhh are better than Aventurine and Fuxuan. I don't know why I'm saying like that. I think Ohhh deserves to be above Fuxuan in my opinion. But again, that's just what I think. Sustain is very important, right? I'm trying to phrase this very, very gently because I know a lot of people love sustains. And my favorite character in the game to use is Aventurine. I love sustains, right? But I'm just saying, I don't think sustains are as necessary as people think they are. People are acting like if you don't have Fuxuan, you can't clear any content in the game. But honestly, I'm not gonna lie, if you have a character like Gallagher or Gepard, even Bailu and Lynx, you're gonna be pretty okay in most content. I've been using Locha and Bailu and Gepard, not at the same time, but you know, a combination of those three characters in MOC, and I've never had problems dying. Not trying to be mean, but I don't see how you could have problems with characters dying. Locha, Bailu, Gepard, and Lynx, and Gallagher, these characters right here are all amazing. You don't need the best sustains in the game, in my opinion. Now, they make the game easier, and that's not a bad thing. At the end of the day, you pull better characters because they make your experience better. But yeah, people act as if Gallagher, Gepard, Bailu, Lynx are just not real characters. Like, they're not important because they're not limited 5-star sustains. But honestly, they're all really good. I've been using Gallagher a lot lately, even though I already have a character like Locha. And honestly, I think Gallagher should be even higher. I think Gallagher is way better than a lot of people think he is. Same with Bailu and Gepard. Like, people act like Bailu is horrible because she can't cleanse, but you don't always need to cleanse. Now, I think it is definitely a fault of hers, and hopefully we get a light cone or something that makes you able to cleanse so she rises up a little bit. But she's really good. Same with Gepard. And even Lynx. People act like Lynx isn't a good healer or like isn't worthy of anything, but she's actually quite good at keeping your team alive. I'm not even gonna talk about these two. I don't really have anything to say about them. But yeah, people are acting like your account is bricked if you don't pull Fuxuan, but it's not. You're gonna be perfectly fine without her. Now, I'm not saying she's a worthless pull. I think she is such a good pull, right? If you don't have a limited sustain, or if you only have one limited sustain, get Fuxuan. Like, you should get her if you're having problems sustaining. It's just that I see people saying, I already have Aventurine and Locha, but I'm gonna pull Fuxuan anyway. And if you're pulling for meta, and you're not free to play, or even if you are free to play, if that's all you care about, Fuxuan is so amazing. But if you're free to play, or you know, you're a soft spender, you know, you don't have that much money to spend, and you already have 2 limited sustains, don't waste your pulls, don't waste your money on another limited sustain. If you have Aventurine Ohhh or Aventurine Locha or Ohhh Locha, don't get Fuxuan. You don't need her. I promise you, you'll be okay. Here, let me show you guys real quick, actually. Alright, so my Locha, I've used him since he's come out. And I'm not saying he's the best sustain ever. He has so many faults, but he works. Like, my Locha build isn't even that good. He has less than 3k attack. He has 137 speed. His effect res is only 66. I'm using S2 perfect timing. His traces aren't even all leveled up. He's using 2-piece Musketeer, 2-piece Passerby, and he's E0. But he works. I've never once had a situation where I've lost because a character died when Locha is around. Locha, if you play him right, he can keep everyone alive for a long time. He's such an easy sustainer to play. It's funny that people are saying that their team is still dying when they have Locha, because I just don't see how that's possible. Maybe if your character's like level 70 and you're trying to clear MOC 12, or you know, you don't like your character's HP are like less than 2,000 or something, and they just get one shot. But like, I don't know. I mean, I don't really have a situation like that. I mean, I'm sorry, this isn't supposed to be like a Locha love video. I have my problems with Locha. Like, in this current MOC, or yeah, the past MOC, whatever you want to say, the one where they apply so many debuffs, like make you sleep and stuff like that. Oh my gosh, Locha cannot do anything. His cleansing is not good enough. He has problems, 100%. But I mean, I still ended up using him, and it worked. I mean, I have 3 stars, and with Bailu, where is Bailu? I have no idea. I can't. Oh, here, Bailu. People act like Bailu isn't a good sustain either. Her relics I'm using on other characters right now, I think. She just has some other stuff. But she's pretty darn good for what she is. This isn't even a good Lycone for her at all. Yeah, I've been using Bailu for months, and she's kept my team alive until I pulled Aventurine and kind of replaced her as a sustain. But she works perfectly fine. The point of this video is, don't feel pressured to pull Fu Xuan just because a bunch of YouTubers tell you need her to win. You need her for your team to stay alive. If you build the right characters, if you build Bailu, if you build Gallagher, if you build Lynx, your team is going to be alright. Again, even a character like Gallagher can keep your team alive pretty darn well if you know what you're doing. I'm not trying to like attack Fu Xuan or anything. I'm just saying that maybe you don't need her. Again, if you're pay to play like a whale and you're only pulling for meta, pull Fu Xuan, right? Like if you like her. But if you're free to play, you don't need to feel pressured to pull a character just because a bunch of YouTubers said it was the right decision, or because you need her. Because I'm gonna be real, you don't. I don't have her, and I've been perfectly fine. Now, that's also something we need to take into account. I might be a little bit biased because I don't have Fu Xuan. I feel like if you have a character, you're much more likely to defend them. So that's very important. Most people I see defending Fu Xuan have Fu Xuan. Again, she's not bad. I don't want to act like they're wrong or anything. Fu Xuan's great. It's just that you don't need her, right? That's like the whole point of this video. Now, you could say the same about any character, in all honesty. Like you said, like, oh, you don't need Imbibder, you don't need Jingliu, you don't need Acheron. I mean, maybe, honestly, I think everyone needs Acheron, but just stuff like that. Like, the main point I'm trying to say is if you're free to play or low spender, don't feel pressured to pull Fu Xuan. You'll be okay without her. And especially if you're not playing for meta and you don't need to clear MOC 12 as soon as possible. I cleared MOC 12 this time with Gallagher, right? With my level 72 Gallagher, who's like just okay. You can do it too. You don't need the best sustains in the game to clear content. And that's all I'm trying to say. You also don't need the best DPS in the game. So if you're gonna pull if you just really want to pull and there's no one in the horizon you're looking forward to, get Fu Xuan. But for me, I'm gonna pull Boothill over Fu Xuan, even though I don't have Fu Xuan, because Boothill just looks really fun. And for me, I prefer fun over meta. Now, again, it's just my opinion. I'm not trying to argue with anyone. Some people will say Fu Xuan's necessary for your account, and that's their opinion. I just don't think that she is. Not that she's a bad character at all, but I don't think she's necessary. Get her if you want, though. I mean, hey, if you're a fan of Fu Xuan, if you really like her, nothing's wrong with any of her. I want to reiterate that I'm not trying to say Fu Xuan's bad at all, or that you're wrong for liking her. She is a great character, and if you pull her, you'll be happy with her, right? It's just that if your pulls are limited, you don't need her like a bunch of people are saying, right? But yeah, hopefully you all enjoyed the video. It's a little bit more like argumentative than I'd like to be. Because I don't like attacking certain characters and saying they're bad, and I just feel wrong doing that. But I just saw so many people just loving Fu Xuan and telling people that she's a must pull, and I was like, I don't know about that one so much. Yep. Again, at the end of the day, do whatever you want. You're your own person. If you're pay to play, get her, screw it, why not? If you're free to play, I mean, if you like her, get her, but you don't need her. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. I still don't know how to end my videos, so